I'm giving everybody a tour of the farm this morning, showing what this late summer looks like around here. What is going on, y'all? Jason over here at Cog Hill Farm. Hope you guys are having the best day ever today. As you can see, I'm in the greenhouse at the potting bench, finally getting to use my potting bench. Actually repotting a boxwood here. I just absolutely love boxwoods in clay pots. I just love the way it looks. It just looks classic to me. And I can put this anywhere out here in our gardens once we get them going, especially back here in the back garden. Now, I did something yesterday that a lot of you guys suggested that I should, because this is a teak bench, a teak potty bench. And if you don't know what teak is, that's the type of wood. And teak is known for its abilities to handle the weather. Typically, you don't have to stain it. You don't have to really do much of anything to teak. It will handle the elements, especially water. That's why they make such great potting benches, because they just last so long and they tend not to rot. But they will dry out. And a lot of you guys suggested that I should put some teak oil on my teak bench, and I did just that yesterday, and man, it looks way better. It really does. Now, this thing's never gonna look brand new, I know that, but it does look much better. All right, and there we go. I'll just add this to my already going collection over here. If you haven't seen them, I did these a few weeks ago right here. All right, we got parsley coming up, y'all. Cilantro is all up, I believe. Of course, that's our first set of calendula. I got some more calendula planted. Collard greens are looking great. Look at that weed. That's something. I can see snaps coming up, which is awesome. But when things get this big, we're starting to get our true leaves. You can see our cilantro getting its true leaves. But you can see this is starting to get pretty big now. It's not ready to go in the ground, but it is starting to get pretty big. And what's going to happen is these guys are going to need something extra. When your seedlings start to get a little bit taller and they're past that infant stage and they're getting on up here, they're going to need something extra, because when a seed first pops out, all its nutrients it needs for its first week of life pretty much is in that little seed casing, and it gives them all the nutrition they need. But once they get past that, they're really going to need something. And I got to show you this little thing that's very inexpensive too, and that is this little neat little contraption right here. It's I call it a siphoning or brass siphon, and that is this little contraption right here that's going to screw on the end of my faucet right here. So what's great about this tool is it's not going to dump a heavy amount of fertilizer on your little tender seedlings. It won't do that at all. What it's going to do is dilute it way down for you. You notice it had this hose on one end, so that's going to go in a 5-gallon bucket right here, like so. And then we're going to put our fertilizer in this bucket. Now, I'm using Halsey's 20-20-20, but y'all, you can use any water-soluble fertilizer you want to. Any. And then just mix it like you normally would. So this is a 5-gallon bucket. I'm going to read the instructions, and I'm going to mix it like it's 5 gallons. All right, the way this thing works is we're going to put it on our faucet like so. The hose end, this tube goes down into your bucket of fertilizer, and then we're going to put a water hose on this end right here. So now what's going to happen is when I cut the water on, it's going to suck this up and then dilute it even more when I spray my seedlings. And since this is such a diluted amount, you don't have to worry about it interfering or damaging or hurting your seedlings that aren't quite this mature yet. It's not going to do that to them. And if anyone is interested in this little old siphoning tool here. I'll put a link down below. Both Hoss and Grower Solutions carries this. Holly, girl, you want to give everybody a tour of the farm here in the late summer? I have been trying to give you guys a tour of the entire farm throughout the season, and the last one was spring, and I haven't done a summer one, and I thought I would give you guys an update here, especially now. This is late summer when it is crazy hot. It's been really hot, and I just want y'all to see that our farm is not perfect at all. My gardens are not perfect at all, and especially now I struggle just like you guys struggle, and I want to give you guys a tour of the farm, show you what it looks like right now, and tell you what some plans are. I had to go grab my sun hat real quick. The sun's starting to come out. It was fairly cloudy this morning, but that old sun's starting to come on out, and the sun hats are on our website now. So if you are interested in the sun hat, I had a lot of you guys reach out to me. They are on the website now. And remember, this sun hat is on the larger side. So, you know, I just want you guys to know that. I don't want anybody to get disappointed or mad at me because their sun hat may be a little too big. The sun hat is on the little larger side. And of course, you guys know about the back area back here. This is where our kitchen garden, or the Alabama potager garden, is going to go. And this is going to be #1 priority for us this fall. This is my main goal. If I get this done, then we can move on to something else, but I want to get this finished before I do anything else major here on the farm. And while we're back here, we got this back area back here, and of course our wooded area back here in the back. Now we have 40 acres here. Pretty much it's kind of split, and it's not going to be exactly 50-50, but to make it easier, it is kind of split. 20 acres are pasture, 20 acres are woods. And we've shown y'all the woods before. Somebody had clear cutted these woods, and it looked like they tried to go back with pines and just stopped for whatever reason. I have no idea why. And where they didn't replant anything, it is a mess. Gotten, and it has been taken over by some invasive plants that are not native to the United States, let alone to our area. And we want to clean that up. We really do. And this area back here too, right back here where the greenhouse all is. And I'll let you guys know more details when I know something, but we want to do a controlled burn and get this forest area cleaned up as much as we can. We want it to look like the Alabama forest did 100 years ago, the way it's supposed to look. And that is a mission of mine going forward here on the property. Now, I don't know how long this will take. I have no idea. It may take 15 years, no idea. But that is my plan for the forest area back here. And back here in the back, right here, I would like for this to become more like an prairie or a meadow that would have been, again, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. That's what I want to do here. So the wildlife will absolutely love it. The birds, the pollinators, I just, you know, how long is it going to take? I don't know. But that is the plan back here and for our wooded area. So we're moving away from the back garden area, and we're going to move towards the side garden, which is the Alabama parterre garden right over here. And it's doing about as good as I could ask. The grass here is doing great, and the beddings, the roses, it's really doing well, especially the roses. The roses, the American pillar roses are just, maybe a week and a half ago, I just tied these up, and they're still going. You can even see I got this one's already started on the wire up here. It's going to come on down, but I'm going to start trellising roses even more. Probably not going to do that today, but we do got some cooler weather coming, and it would be a perfect time. I mean, I just trellised this rose a week and a half ago, and look how much it's grown. Unbelievable. Got this beautiful rose here. This is one of my favorites. All of them are my favorite, though. You're going to hear me say that a lot. This one's Zephyrin Druin. It's a thornless variety. And generally, I want to say this, when it comes to thornless varieties, they still typically have thorns, but y'all, they're just so small and soft that you don't notice them. It's nothing like my American pillar rose right here. This rose right here is the devil when it comes to thorns. But this Zephyrin Druin, on the other hand, is not. It is, see, you can rub your hand on it. You can barely feel them, but for the most part, it is pretty thornless. But I think this year, or I say that, 2025, this rose here is gonna look gorgeous on this fence. You can see I'm training it to grow down that fence right there, because on climbers and rambling roses, you want to get your canes horizontal, because when they get horizontal, it's going to produce side shoots out, and that's where all the majority of your flowers are going to come from. So you can see that's what we're doing here. You can see I got it going up, over, up, over, up, over, up, over. And so it's starting to do what we want it to do. You can see this is all side shoots right here. See all that? And this rose is going to be beautiful, beautiful. I don't know if you guys remember the butterfly bushes that we grew back here, but look how big these guys are. I mean, they're probably 10 times bigger than they were when we first planted them this year. And I gotta show y'all something. I know y'all can see the elephant ear. So I got weed mat down here. I had one elephant ear plant planted in a pot over here last year. I'm not quite for sure how elephant ears multiply or spread. They don't flower, so it's gotta be by two, I don't know. It's a mystery to me. But I got a weed mat here. I had an elephant ear over yonder about where that fire pit is. And I got a crack in that weed mat right there. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. This is crazy. This actually just blows my mind. And I love elephant ears, so I'm leaving it. It doesn't look, it kind of looks out of place a little bit, but this thing's staying. If it wants to survive, it's staying. But I got a hole in the weed mat right here because that's where my water faucet is. And y'all, this elephant ear came up, and I have no idea how it jumped from a pot over there all the way over here. That looks about 20, 30 foot. No idea how I did it. And then find its way out this one little crack here in this entire weed mat. So it's staying. That's a survivor. That thing's staying right there. Oh my gracious. Makes me want to have to get another one, maybe plant it over here to even it out. I have had some good and some bad in this garden bed right here that we planted this year. The good has been this Ryan's pink. It looks amazing. It is huge. It is spreading. This will bloom this fall. A beautiful light pink. Absolutely beautiful. The salvia I planted, also doing wonderful. You can see it right here. This salvia is doing great. I could come in and deadhead this and let it even multiply even more. But this native blueberry bush right here, called Darrow's blueberry, is struggling. It has struggled. Once the heat hit, it has really struggled here mightily. Now this one does have some new growth on it, but you can see how yellow that one is. That one, no new growth on those guys whatsoever. And if you look, this one, that one right there, hardly any leaves on it. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I was so surprised about how huge this Ryan Pink has got that I actually planted them too close anyways. So I'm going to remove these blueberry bushes and find another spot here on the farm for them. Another thing that thrived here is the African blue basil. We had a half-inch rain day for yesterday, so it kind of beat it down some. Plus it's getting end of its time here. And we'll be taking cuttings off this really soon. I got two roses here. I got Lamarck, which is my climbing rose right here. And it's gonna climb up and over my arbor. And I got it on both sides right here. Super fragrant. It's this white rose with a yellow center. Smells so good. And look, it's still blooming. This is a repeat bloomer. It's gonna bloom all year long. And we're just gonna continue to train it on up. It'll probably take maybe 1 or 2 more years. And then probably year 3, it's really gonna be beautiful right here. Really beautiful. And the other rose I got planted here is, and y'all, I've completely drawn a blank to what this other rose is called. Dadgummit, it's gonna come to me. If it does, I'll put it in the description here. But it is more of a peachy rose right here. And it's cousins to the Lamarck and the Zephyrin Druin I got planted back there. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous roses. And this too is a climber, and it's gonna fill this fence up for me right here. Again, very fragrant. So this whole area right here, when we enter this in say 2 or 3 years, is just gonna be covered in these beautiful, beautiful roses. Speaking of beautiful roses, here are the drift roses. They have been putting on a show all year. This is probably their 3rd or 4th bloom right here. And you can see it's pretty much done, and it'll keep producing roses, but it's really slowing down now. I can come in here and I can deadhead all this. I can, and it would produce more blooms. And I may do that in the future. Right now, you know, it's just a timing issue right now. And gosh, it is so hot, and it's so many roses in here. I think I got 40 drift roses in here, and I do plan on putting some more in this area too. Believe it or not, well, not quite this area, let me show you. But y'all, this rose is not even 2 years old. I bought 1 gallons, and look how massive they got in that short period of time. Now you can see when I start getting over here, these are the ones I planted this year. Planted these this year, 1 gallons, and look how big they have gotten. Huge roses. So if we come on around here, right here, at the end of this hillside, we're gonna put some more of those drift roses in here and finish this whole bed out right here. Got some weeds I need to get out of there, and I was short a piece of weed mat right there, but we'll get that handled. Which leads me into the fruit orchard. The fruit orchard has been absolutely amazing this year. Amazing. I could not have asked for anything better. This is basically kind of year 2.5-ish, not really quite 3 years yet. I think next year and going forward with the stuff we originally planted here 2.5 years, it's really going to, put on a show and produce the fruit. And it has been amazing, absolutely amazing. Y'all know that we got to trellis up our grapes. We got right here, and our kiwi down there on the end. This is our 2 muscadine beds, and then our table grape bed. And then on the end, like I said, is our kiwi. Our blackberries are done. You can see I let them go. I'll leave them like this until a little bit later in the fall, and we'll start training these guys for next year. And that is training them to grow on the trellis system we have here. I'll probably cut some blueberries back. The figs, by far the best year yet with our figs. They are absolutely delicious and doing so well. We're getting a lot of figs, but not enough to do things like I want to do. We really want to make some fig preserves. And we come out here and the figs are loaded, but they all don't ripen at the same time. So I may come out here and get 6 one day, 20 the next day, 10 the next day, 4 the next day, and I really need like a 3 gallons worth, you know what I mean, to make fig preserves, or at least a gallon, at least a gallon. And we're not quite there yet, but I think next year might be a different story on the figs. But the figs look amazing, especially at everything we've put them through. Or I say we, that Mother Nature's put them through. They've gone through 2 huge freezes, then a late freeze on top of that 2 years in a row, and that's knocked my figs all the way down. This is all new growth. What you see here all grew this year. Figs are very fast growers. Y'all, my apples and pears, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Absolutely could not ask for anything more from my apples and pears. Just look amazing. Cannot believe I got this much fruit in basically year 2.5. I can't imagine what it's gonna look like going from this point forward. I do pretty much come out here almost every day, and this has been my breakfast. I'll pick me a pear, and I'll pick me an apple, and that's my breakfast for the day. I do give a lot to the animals. Mary Carl eats a lot of it. Brooke eats a lot of it, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I don't think I could ever sell these guys in the fruit stand. I say that. I take that back. I have to have a really good refrigeration system for one, and since I do spray a little bit, and I'm not an expert when it comes to fruit trees, and I just do what Jason over there at Pedals from the Past tells me, and so I don't want to give anybody some advice that I don't know the ins and out of yet, if that makes sense. But I don't do heavy spraying, And so my fruit is not perfect. It's not gonna look like it does out of a grocery store. All my fruit has these blemishes on it, these spots on it, and my gut tells me that most people would see this apple and they're not gonna buy it because they're so used to that wax-coated, pretty, blemish-free, gorgeous apple you get from a grocery store. So, and I don't have the refrigeration set up yet, so maybe one day we will. We've been tossing around the idea of making a little bit larger farm stand that could include some refrigeration, but that would be later down the road, and then that would be something we make and put our fruit in. Two things over here that did not produce in the fruit orchard are my furry persimmons. It was absolutely covered in blooms in the spring. I thought I was gonna have an unbelievable persimmon crop. It dropped all the blooms. It didn't happen. So several factors there. It could have been the rough heat. Could have been the drought. I've talked to my buddy Chef Scott Peacock, who has several of these trees as well. He told me it was year 3 or 4 before his produced, and they kind of did the same thing. So it may be just an immature situation going on with the furry persimmons. And my European pears, I do have two types of pears here. We got our Asian pears, which is what you saw me pick here, and we got our European pears, which are my last true trees right here on the end. And these are the more traditional pears that you guys are used to seeing, you know, the pear shape, they're not round like this. They didn't produce, but this is not, I've had a hard time starting out with keeping these pears alive, the European pears alive. So I had to swap varieties, and these two varieties are doing well. So these are only like a year old, and maybe even younger than that. One of them died before the other one. So one of them, these are older than the other one, but I can't quite remember which one it is. But I think probably in 2 years we'll start having a good crop of European pears. As you guys can see, I'm in the front of the house. This is probably one of my biggest eyesores on the entire property. We bought some sod to go out here, and eh, you can see it is not doing well, and it's not going to do well. Now we could bring a load of topsoil in. Well, I take that back. What we could do is get a bulldozer and scrape all this out, and then come back and bring a load of topsoil in, and then buy some more sod and have a front lawn out here. I personally don't like that option, and this is something that I kind of wanted to do from the get-go, but Brooke kind of wasn't on board because, you know, it's hard to think outside the box. It really is. You know, you think of your house with a nice, pretty front lawn, and that's what you've always had. That's what you've been accustomed to. So it's kind of hard to think outside that. And what I've kind of always wanted to do is have a front garden in here. This no grass, or if it is, it's minimum, and have garden space out here. And something that's small, because honestly, this is not a big lawn out here at all. So I got several options. My original plan is to put maybe several little raised beds out here. And you see we got gravel on the side over here, and continue that gravel space through here. Thought about building a walkway pergola right here in the front that came out probably, I don't know, 10, 15 foot, and maybe put 2 raised beds on this side of that walk space. Kind of like give you an idea what I'm talking about. Like a big pergola right here, and 2 beds right here, and they would be raised beds because I don't want the dogs to get in them. And then probably 2 raised beds maybe right here. But that's what I would kind of maybe love to do out here, and that wouldn't be that much, and I think it would look gorgeous. We can even plant a rose or some type of climbing vine on the pergola itself, and it would be a huge focal point, and I think you would see it and go, my gracious, that is beautiful, and not even think about why don't they have a front lawn. Now on this side of the yard, this is Brooke's mom's house. Now this side, the grass has done fairly well. We do have to water it when it gets super dry, but it has done fairly well. We got a chase tree planted right here in the front, which I love. It's a small, low-growing tree. We're going to plant her in the fall because it was just too hot for us to plant it right now. But pretty much this is all going to stay the same. The pond area over there, all that's gonna stay the same right there. And then across the way over here is, of course, the original pastures. Over here, Gus, Loretta, the boys. This is where we planted our crabapple trees right here, which are doing great. They have handled this crazy weather, and so have the Chinese pistache trees that we planted as well. And I knew these guys would. I was worried about the crab apples, but the pistache trees are doing wonderful. Really nothing's gonna change over here in the pasture areas. The only thing that may happen, but who knows when, is this green coop. I've talked about it before in the past. We may get rid of that green coop. We may turn that into something else. If it does stay here, my plan is to try to get a Peggy Martin rose to cover that green coop up. That's my plan. Of course, you got the honeymooners right here. What's going on, guys? Y'all doing okay? To give y'all perspective of our property and locations, the backside of the honeymooners is the apiary. That's where the bees are over there. That's our bee yard. That's where the pecan tree orchard would go, and the mulberry trees we're going to plant this year. Of course, we got stinking stump next, and really nothing's going to change on their side except, well, we're going to put sides on that shelter back there in the back, make it a 3-sided shelter for them. And then you got the little boys in this pasture, but they won't be in here too much longer. And then we'll just rotate Mo and Joe in between these two pastures going forward. All right, so moving towards the front of the property, you can see my beautiful wife over here feeding the chickens this morning, and show you guys what's going to happen over here and what's going on right here in this late summer. So we're in the front. This is kind of my main garden space right now that most of you guys know. This is where our second greenhouse from Grower Solutions sits. And right now, this area is done. It's done. The the gardens are done. Everything's pretty much done except our sun hemp. I'll show you guys that in just a second. And this is what my garden looks like when the dog days hit. It's so daggum hot. It's a drought. This is it. We're done. Our tomatoes are done. We pulled them up a while ago. You can see that the zinnias are done. The peppers are done. We picked the last bit of jalapenos the other day and made those poppers out of them. Done. Everything here is pretty much done for the year. But I think what I'm going to do is pull the rest of this stuff up and out and let the chickens have this. We're going to put the chickens over here and let them start cleaning this area up for us. Of course, right here is our sun hemp that we planted. This is where the kudzu beetles were, or kudzu bugs, and no kudzu bugs. Haven't seen the first one since I got all this out and torched and then planted the sun hemp. But here's the sun hemp right here. It'll get way, way bigger than that. I kind of wanted to get about 4 or 5 foot tall before I come in here and cut it. And just let it chop and drop, and this will be all composted back into the soil. Right here is going to be the fall garden this year. This was our summer garden last year. So nothing has been planted in this spot over a year except a cover crop. And this should be ready to go. We got it tilled and ready. So all we do is just pull this back, make a rows, and plant our fall garden. All right, so I'm right here in front of the Grower Solution greenhouse. This is the area we just cleaned up. It had gotten pretty overgrown. You can see I got my weed mat out right here. My plan is to put an 8-foot barrier around this entire greenhouse, start maintaining it going this point forward. Also, I do want to plant some or build some raised beds for this greenhouse too. And we'll do that later on in the future as well. Climbing Pinky, you can see, I'm telling you, this summer has really, really, really done its number. I recently cut her back. It had gotten pretty crazy on me. But no need to worry, that rose will be just as beautiful as it always is come springtime. And we just came from this pasture. This is our garden space and where the eggmobile is. And we're walking around. There's the house. There's the pond. Here's Nuggets, pasture sometimes. Right now the goats and donkeys are over there in it. And of course you can see beautiful Holly right here. Hey girl. And our buggy. And this is our hay rake right there. We're walking towards the barn. The girls are over here. Of course, like I said, the donkeys and emus and everybody's on this side. And we're headed straight towards the barn. And honestly, I really don't think we're gonna do anything different over in this area. I really, 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 really don't. All of this area over here took us nearly 3 years to get completed. And here it is. Here it is. The barn is over a year old now. And of course, these pastures are right at a year old. But Moon Man in this pasture we got finished this year, so it's not quite that old yet. But I think we're done out here. I really do. I don't think we're gonna do much of anything out here at all. Hey girls, how y'all doing? And I just walked through the barn. Of course, this is Mildred and Moody's area right here. Of course, they're on their side over there. They're loving that area over there so much. What's going on, Bo Peep? Hey girl. Hey girls. How y'all doing? This was what our dream was when we got here, was to have some beautiful pastures for our animals. Plenty, plenty, plenty of shade. You can see we got these huge shade trees over here. Of course, this pasture goes down into the woods. Got all that shade over there. Moody and Mildred have got all this shade. They got the Moo Mansion. They got the pine thicket. Gorgeous pasture grasses. I mean, this was our dream and goal from the get-go. And of course, we got the barn stalls, and inside the barn for the animals to get out of the weather. I mean, this was it. This was it right here. Hey, baby. Hey, Fifi. Bo. Boots. Pears. Capri. Hey, Big Top. Hey, buddy. No tippers in there. I'm giving everybody a tour of the farm this morning. Show them what this late summer looks like around here. Yeah. It ain't perfect, is it? But y'all's pastures are near about perfect. I mean, they're gorgeous. They really are gorgeous. I couldn't be more happier for them. I know they thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly enjoy the pastures and the wooded areas. Talking about the pastures, y'all, we have not bought any hay whatsoever since late spring. We bought hay. We bought 3 bales. The other 2 bales are still out there, and this is the extra right here. That's it. That's the last time we bought hay, especially since we moved Moody and Mildred to the new large pasture. I mean, the grass is so adequate, and our winters are pretty much fairly mild and short here, that I anticipate us not having to buy possibly a total of 10 or 12 bales for the cooler months, and to get us by until spring comes and the grass comes back up. I really don't think we're going to need near as much as hay as we have had to get in the past. But y'all, that is a tour of our farm here in the late summer. I really do enjoy giving these tours to you throughout the seasons. I know it helps a lot of people out a lot as to where things are located on our farm, and give you ideas of what our plans are going forward and what our farm actually looks like. You know, this isn't a movie set. You know, we have good and bad, and I want you guys to see all of it. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed this tour, and y'all be good. Come on, girl.